Antichrist!
Okay, it is Sunday, May 31st, 2020. This is the Bulldog Unchained podcast. I'm your host, the King of Villains, Bulldog Malenko. There's no one in the studio with me today. I actually wasn't even planning on doing a show today, but I changed my mind because I'm going to give you a breakdown of the past week or so on social media for me. So, of course, we all by this point are aware of the death of George Floyd, a black man from Minneapolis, at the hands of a white Minneapolis police officer named Chauvin. Now, all of that aside, I've voiced my opinion on social media. I'll go ahead and say it here on the show. What the officer did and the three officers that were with him are abhorrent. Like, it's inconceivable to me that a man can be begging for his life with police officers in that manner. People around them recording and watching, begging for that man's life. And that cop just kept his knee on that man's neck. And then Tao, the Asian cop, stood there making sure that everyone stayed back. Now, I'm going to break this down first and foremost. And I'm possibly risking a lot saying this. Like, things like this could be construed as dissent or whatever. At this point, I don't care. I'm going to say exactly what I feel. If you are in public and you see police brutalizing a civilian, especially in that manner, where it looks like that person may possibly die, don't pull out your phone and record. Obviously, there were plenty of people recording on their phones. But who did you see actually step in to help? No one. No one. So I'm going to say the really uncomfortable thing right now that no one wants to say. All of you that recorded that act as it was happening, all of you that were screaming at the police, you're culpable too. You did nothing to prevent it. You watched a human being be murdered by four other human beings, but the only thing you did was protest. You raised your voices and you recorded them. And to what end? That man's still dead. This is where I differ from a lot of people. I don't care if it's a cop. I don't care who it is. First of all, I don't fear any fucking human being on this planet. I don't care if you've been a UFC champion or you're trained to kill people, like you're an expert fucking, maybe you're special forces for the military. I don't give a shit. You're still human and you're still susceptible. And everybody can get caught. Okay? Me, if I have never personally witnessed police brutality. I've never seen anyone slammed on the ground. And well, I've seen cops slam people on the ground, but that was after they basically tried to attack cops. Okay, cool. Well, you played the game and you lost that game. But this is different. This is one of those, that man was on the ground begging for his life. At what point do you, as a human being, take responsibility for another human being's life? When do you step in? Oh no, instead, you wait until after, and then here come protests, which, hey, I'm all for protests, okay? The one thing I am not for is rioting and looting and burning down your own business, like your neighborhood businesses. These are people that live in your community. This serves no purpose. And I know that a lot of people are going to be turned off by me saying this, but I hope you stick through and listen to what I have to say about this. So I, a few days ago, basically made a post that said, meh, I'm over it now. I experienced myself personally people telling me to keep my privileged mouth shut. And so I said, cool, sort it out yourself. What you're doing is alienating the people that you will need to effectively make change. Because if there's divisiveness and dissent against the cause, it's not going to fucking happen, is it? But whatever. Sort it out. Burn down your fucking community. I don't give a shit. You know why? Because I don't fucking live there. I'm going to be as real with you as I possibly can. You want to know what indifference and chaos is? Those people that stood there screaming at the police and recording them, they're indifferent. Yeah, sure, they virtue signaled and they showed their moral outrage in the videos, but what did they do to actually stop it? Nothing. Because at their core, they're indifferent. So now I'm going to display my indifference, and I'm going to tell all of you, I don't give a fuck what happens in Minneapolis. I couldn't care less. If that shit comes to my town, if riots and looting started happening in my town, I'm going to stand at one of a few businesses of the owners that I know with my gun, and if anybody tries to destroy it, they're going to get shot. You're going to get shot on the fucking sidewalk. I don't care. You're not going to destroy my fucking town. So, the other thing that I want to point out to this is, while the rioting and looting was happening, there were still protests actually taking place. So these are two different classes of people. You have people who are actually trying to make change, trying to get their voices to be heard. And then you have people who think that acting irrationally and destroying businesses is going to get their point across. Okay, cool. Well, let's look at Target. So they looted Target, stole everything, and everybody's like, well, that shit can be replaced and blah, blah, blah. They got insurance. You know what I'm going to do if I'm the Target Corporation? You just lost your store. It's not going to be rebuilt. We're not going to restock. And all those people just lost their jobs because now you are too great a risk for my business model. Your area, your community has proven to be too great a risk for my business model. So I'll move elsewhere. And you will lose. You will lose out. So jobs gone. Your ability to purchase specific goods gone. Then what? And you're right. Target didn't lose anything, really. They didn't. Their insurance will cover that. And a lot of it can be written off. So what did you do? What did you accomplish? Now, what I can get behind are the rioters that finally burnt down the 3rd Precinct police station. Good for you. Those people get it. They directed their anger at the target. I've also seen people bringing up the Virginia and Michigan protesters that stood there with their weapons screaming in police officers' faces had nothing done to them. But meanwhile, just protesters are getting shot with rubber bullets and pepper sprayed and blah, blah, blah. Well, there's a key fucking ingredient of difference in those two recipes. 2 of those groups were armed to the fucking teeth. What do you think happens when the police try to shoot them with rubber bullets or spray them with mace or beat on them with batons? police get fucking shot. Guess what? No police officer on this planet wants to happen. To get fucking shot. I don't care if they get hit in the vest. They don't want it. They do not want to get shot. What if one slips the side of the vest? What if one slips a plate and it just goes in? You don't know. That vest doesn't guarantee shit. And their little helmets? That's not stopping a shot from an AR. Not happening. So, maybe if you want to actually institute change, which I have been talking about this for 15 fucking years, that I've watched tons of protests, people in the streets screaming, chanting their clever little phrases, and that shit doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything. So what I'm going to tell you is, this is also not a race issue. But a lot of you aren't getting that yet, are you? You're looking at this as a black-white issue, and I see people talking about black people this and white people this. Hey, dumbasses, guess what? That's exactly what the people in power want you to do. You know why? Because as long as you're busy fighting and arguing with each other, you will not direct your rage in the proper direction. You are misguided. You are irrational. You don't make good decisions. Whereas, imagine what happens when tens or hundreds of thousands of black, white, brown, red folks get together and they're armed and they start heading for government buildings. What do you think happens then? Because, okay, well, then they declare martial law and they send out the military and the National Guard. Well, keep in mind that every member of the military and the National Guard swore an oath. And I want any service member that's listening to this to pay close attention to what the fuck I'm saying. You swore an oath to protect this nation from all enemies, foreign and domestic. Citizens, civilians who are standing up for their rights and exercising their Second Amendment right, which was created to prevent the tyranny of an overreaching government. That's why the domestic part is in there. The tyranny of an overreaching government. If you think that you on the street screaming at police or whatever, if you think that that's accomplishing your objective, just think about this. You don't give the police any orders. You don't pay them. Granted, sure, their money comes from taxes, but they're going to take that money from you anyway. But what happens? See, I'm going to give you my exact thought of what should have happened in Minneapolis. They found out where Derek Chauvin lived. Now, this man had already been fired from the police force, but yet they put a personal detail of 75 officers surrounding his home for someone who's no longer a cop. Do you see it yet? He's still one of them. So he's still protected. And the people stood outside chanting and ranting and raving and carrying on. Meanwhile, across town, people are burning down their fucking communities, because that makes sense. How about you hop the fucking bus, Jack? Or you and a couple buddies hop in somebody's car and you head on over to Mr. Chauvin's house. And what should have happened was a few thousand people show up armed and you storm the fucking house. You lay siege. 75 cops. They're either going to do one of two things. They're going to shoot and get shot, or they're going to get the fuck out of the way. And then you go get Mr. Chauvin. You bring him outside. And there are going to be plenty of cameras recording everything. And you execute that motherfucker for the whole world to see. And that's how balance is restored. That's how chaos operates. You see, when only the people in power are the ones that get to execute chaos, but when the civilians try to implement chaos, that chaos gets shut down, well, there's a loss of balance. And so you can push people so hard, so far, but eventually the people push back. The only difference is people here, it's happened through every fucking empire, society, what have you, that has ever existed. A government pushes its people so far and the people eventually push back. Now, the problem is the majority of us, and I'm in this boat too, we still have enough of our comforts, and to be honest, and here's the other thing, I won't bullshit you. It affected me on an emotional level, but it's not in my 3-foot bubble. I'm not going to drive to Minneapolis, Minnesota to go fucking join even a protest, let alone potentially get caught up in your like agent fucking activities where a dude shows up with the black umbrella, starts smashing windows, doesn't really say a word to people, and then turns around and walks off. Anybody listening to this, just take a little time and look up the significance of the black umbrella. And you form your own thought of what happened there with that guy. Who, I mean, it still hasn't been confirmed, but high suspicion that that was a police officer from St. Paul who was identified by his wife. Was the man in the mask carrying the black umbrella who smashed the windows. Agents have existed for a long, long time to create disruption. And if they springboard vandalism and rioting and looting, well, that authorizes the use of deadly force that much quicker so that they can quell the situation. And they will have the majority of the public's backing on that, as history shows. It's very interesting to me that people want change, okay? And here's one of the biggest conundrums of the entire fucking situation. So the majority of people that you will see, and again, if you're new to this show, if this is your first time ever hearing my voice, let me explain. I am not a conservative. I am not a liberal. I am not Republican. I am not Democrat. I know that all of it's complete horseshit. However, those people who choose their sides and pick their alignments, well, it seems that the people that want to take to the streets to protest the most fall under the liberal category. But these are the same people who are opposed to firearms and think there needs to be greater legislation and control. Hey, let me ask you something, you super genius Mensa members. If you're pushing and trying so hard to have your own rights stripped away to defend yourself from a tyrannical government, if you show up at my house knowing that I have guns and you stand outside and scream and yell at me, guess how much of a fuck I give? But the moment you damage my property or you try to break into my home, guess what's going to happen to you? I'm going to give you lead poisoning. I'm going to blow you out of your fucking Nikes that you just jacked from the store down the street. And I bet the people behind you stop dead in their tracks and don't cross that threshold. So, if you're not armed, you're not actually causing any kind of revolution. It's not happening because the people in power, they don't give a fuck about your words. You don't matter. You don't matter. This country has gotten so fucking far away from what it was supposed to be. The government was intended to work for and serve the public. Now, the government and politicians control the country. They control the population. If you think I'm bullshitting, if you don't have a passport, try to leave. Try to go anywhere. Try to go to Canada. Try to go to Mexico. You're not getting anywhere. So what happens now? Okay, and it's happening in multiple cities across the country. Okay, whoop-de-fucking-do. Okay, go ahead, destroy those cities. But what happens when you start destroying these communities and neighborhoods in certain places? Oh, notice this shit isn't happening in Florida or Texas. Florida's got a pure stand your ground law, and Texas is just Texas. Like, why do you think that shit's not happening there? It's because it will turn into the goddamn OK Corral. There will be mass fucking violence on a scale that this country has not seen in 160 years? Holy shit. But apparently that's what everybody's booking for, and that's what everyone's counting on, is this next great American Civil War. Well, that's fine, but when one side of this Civil War are a group of people who, for the majority, abhor violence and are vehemently against firearms, how do you think that war is going to play out? I was posting things about the whole George Floyd thing, and I was condoning them burning down the precinct. But the problem is they burnt down businesses. They burnt down a 7-story low-income housing project. They put members of their own community out on the street. I have no respect for you. You are subhuman. And when I say that, I don't care if it was white, black, brown, who the fuck ever did that shit. Who the fuck ever was using this man's death at the hands of a police officer as opportunistic timing. You are a piece of shit. Okay? This whole thing, I know that some of you think that it's going to go down a certain way. And I've also had people ask me, well, Bulldog, if you're so adamant about change and violent revolution, why aren't you out there being a part of it? Well, I can't get behind that. I can't get behind what they're doing. Nope. The destruction of property and community that doesn't belong to the government but is privatized. Nope. Got nothing to do with George Floyd. Yeah. Got nothing to do with him. It's got nothing to do with all these other names either. Breonna Taylor. It's got nothing to do with her. Target did not kill George Floyd. Neither did that man's barbershop. Dude, secondhand stores being torched and just looted. And AutoZone sure as fuck didn't kill George Floyd. Didn't do it. And if I were those companies, I would not rebuild in your community. Would not. You have just shown in one fell swoop you don't deserve to have these businesses there. Why? And so you can attack buildings, you can steal from people who can't defend those buildings from you, but you won't go attack the police officers. What the fuck? And let me clarify my stance on the police. I understand that there are cops with good intentions, but I also understand how the thin blue line works, and I know what the code of silence is, and I understand what happens to police officers who speak out against their fraternal order, against their brothers and sisters in the badge. So that means that every good cop out there has remained silent for at least one other corrupt cop that they work with, in your time as a police officer you have seen, heard, or even partaken in some form of corruption according to the oath that you as a police officer swore and the laws that you swore to uphold and enforce. So until good cops are holding bad cops accountable, there are no good cops. And yes, I sincerely mean that. Look, I'm friends with some police officers, okay? Close personal friends. I love them personally. Professionally, I think they're full of shit. Because you don't get to be a cop and remain a cop and get to keep breathing if you're out there holding other police accountable for corrupt things that they do. All right? Like, it. Even the best cop in the world is going to turn a blind eye to his brother or sister's actions, even if it's for self-preservation. And that's where indifference comes from. That's just another form of it. Well, indifference is evil too. So, yeah. But if we boil this down to the black and white issue, because, yes, I do understand what systemic racism is. I do understand that it has been implemented and flowing since 1865. Okay? Once the Emancipation Proclamation was signed and enacted, black people had an even rougher go. And I know that may sound fucked up to people who don't understand what I'm saying, but then they were just left to fend for themselves for a long fucking time. And they were the bottom of the barrel of society. Okay? It's when black people, when I see some attitudes of fuck all white people. I saw a post that said they were going to start attacking white families. And my first thought was, you better have a big crew and you better be well armed, because that's not going to play out well. But the flip side of this is, what do you think that's going to accomplish? Is that the bridge of trust? So you think that attacking white families and not the police, again, because let's face facts, people who think in this manner and speak in this manner, they're cowards anyway. So you want to attack people that are kind of resembling of your target, but not your target, because your target's going to fight back and you might die. So what are you really doing? What the fuck are you going to accomplish? African Americans make up, which I hate that term, by the way, because most of you have never, ever set foot on the continent of Africa. That's like me saying, oh, I'm European American. If I said that to you, you would give me a fucking goofy look. Like, no, you white. Oh, really? Am I? No shit. So, but I will say that African Americans make up, 25% of the country? Of the population? That's not a vast majority. Okay? It's not. So in order to get things changed, even in the halls of Congress and the Senate, guess what's needed to happen? Majority. So maybe the reason I pulled out all of my commenting about it and reaching my scope of audience that I have across social media and my show, the reason I pulled back on it was because, if you're going to spit in my face when I'm on your side, only you didn't like that I said I condemn the looting and the riots that are burning down communities and have nothing to do with the target of the police and those in power. You want to spit in my face over that? That's when I just let my chaotic ambivalence come out, and I was like, fuck it, deal with it yourself. So, yeah, you still have some allies, but those allies that you have, they're not armed. They don't know violence. They don't truly know violence. Most of these people, oh God, like, have you seen half of these people that show up to these things even try to throw a punch? Come on. Who do you have on your side? Really? So maybe you need to open up and accept everyone that's a part of this. This isn't just a black thing. No. Black, white, brown, red, purple, yellow, neon, fucking green. I don't care what your color is. I don't care what your race is, your ethnicity. I don't give a fuck. If you are wanting change, you can't grab each other by the throat. You have to lock arms, and you have to be weaponized. Otherwise, the only thing you got are words. You got words, and they're falling on deaf ears. So, my prediction is, this is all just some big guffaw. This is the current trending thing. And guess what? In about 2 weeks, we'll have something brand new, and all this will be over. And these communities where this shit is happening, they will remain shattered for a few years to come after this. But those shockwaves, they were only initial shockwaves that were far-reaching, and then the majority of society very quickly just went, oh, well, nope, this isn't the one. Look, they're just stealing shit. That's all they want to do. Like, look at this group right here, just being opportunistic. That's it. The best of us, right? That's what you embody? The best of us? No thanks. I don't have anything to do with it. It's not in my community. It's not affecting me. And you can call that privilege if you want, but what it is fucking reality. And that's going to be hard for some of you to swallow. But if you want people like me to be on your side, and trust me, you need people like me to be on your side. And if you want that, don't smack the hand away that's trying to reach for you. Just because we don't agree on everything and we don't see eye to eye on everything that's happening, the fact of the matter is, when it all started, I was on the side of the protesters. I'm on the side of the rioters. The rioters who are targeting government buildings, burning down the police station, the 3rd precinct where those officers worked. Commendable job, people. Holy shit, you got one of your targets. Guess what? That's how fucking war works. You have strategic targets that you go after. The police had to abandon that building. They had to get out. That is a show of force that I have never seen in my lifetime. I have never seen a police station burnt down and the cops all had to flee. I have never seen that. That was amazing. But I condemn the looting. Those people are accomplishing nothing except getting some TVs or clothes or other electronics for their home or whatever they felt like taking. And they are not helping your cause. And the fact that you try to justify their behavior only makes you look weaker and weakens your argument. Just a little food for thought. I'm giving you just one man's perspective, but I know a lot of people feel the same way I do. If I felt that this were real and this would accomplish something, if enough people could get on the same page, I would pick up my guns right now. And I would head to my nearest big city and be like, let's fucking do this. Let's get crazy. Fuck it. What's the worst that happens? I die? Ooh, okay. I know a lot of you are afraid of death. Cool, I guess. So, live in fear as a coward. Die as a coward. Me? I look at it for what it is. All this is a brief moment in time. And 20 years from now, this will just be another blurb of another wave of riots and protests that didn't really change anything. Because the police aren't going to police each other, and civilians aren't going to police each other. Nope. In fact, when the mob mentality takes over, people start smashing windows and grabbing stuff. Man, everybody just jumps right in, don't they? They just run with it. Oh, fuck, okay, this is happening. This is what we're doing. It's a herd mentality. That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less. So, I wish all of you that are actively engaging in these protests and the riots that are focusing on government buildings and whatnot, I wish you the best of luck. I do. I hope that you manage to have some great victory, whatever that equates to in your mind, whatever your purpose is. I hope that you achieve your objective. But just know why the majority of us will be sitting it out and just watching. Because we've been told to check our privilege and keep our privileged mouths shut. So, well, this is the last thing that I'm going to say about it. Like, hadn't talked about it on the show before this. Won't bring it up again. I will not talk about this issue again. This is a one-time thing for my show on my Facebook and shit. Nope. Stopped posting about it days ago. I don't comment on anybody's post about it. I don't click like. I don't interact with it. I scroll and I keep looking for funny memes and videos. And if I'm doing that, how many millions of others are doing that? In a country of 330 million, how many millions are just like me and we're already burnt out from it? And we're like, fuck you then. Fuck all of it. Do whatever you're going to do. I don't give a shit. You come to my house, I'm going to blow your fucking head off. It's easy. It's simple. So, everybody, take care of yourselves. Look out for each other. I truly do hope that something good comes of this, but because of what it turned into, I don't see that happening. And I don't see anything changing anytime soon, except for all you're going to see now is probably a few police forces in larger cities that crack down harder on people because they have not been taught a lesson. They have not learned anything. So, all right, guys, take care. That's it. I'm the King of Villains, Bulldog Malenko. This has been the Bulldog Unchained podcast, a little special edition. And go Chaos.
Show's over, motherfuckers.